all through camp and
Lion fans, holla if you hear me.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Dennis Roland Show, sponsored by North Oaks Health System, located here in Hammond just off of Veterans Boulevard. I'm Marv Roboyce alongside Lions head coach, Coach Dennis Roland. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark.
Coming up in the next half hour, we're going to look at this week's game against Northern Colorado. We're going to check out the first and second half highlights. We're going to check out this week's big play of the game, as well as the weekly scouting report, looking ahead 2 weeks to Tulane University. We're also going to check out this week's player profile segment with senior wide receiver Josh Taylor. Coach, long road trip, Greeley, Colorado. Any of the traveling had an effect on the team this week?
Well, I think always there's a reason they talk about home field advantage. People have been talking about home field advantage for years, and supposedly the old cliche is that you give up 7 points when you go on the road, and that's not traveling halfway around the country and playing in 5,000 higher elevation. But I thought that there's no question. We knew that Northern was a tough place to play. We had a lot of respect for their team. They're well coached. They play hard. But I felt like we did some good things. We just didn't execute as well as we needed to. And you definitely don't want to spot someone 21 points, a good football team like them, and try to fight your way back into it. Now, benefit of my players, they didn't quit at halftime, and they fought back to make it a game.
Well, like you said, Northern Colorado is a good team. What did they show different than Alcorn State showed the week previously?
Well, it's two different type teams. This was probably a little bit more of a blue collar, big physical football team. They did a really good job of trying to protect the football. Their quarterback, I think, was 16 out of 22, and you know, if they've got it, we don't have it. And of course, we had some turnovers. We had too many turnovers, especially in the first half, that caused part of the 21-point deficit. But you know, there was just two different type football teams, but a very well coached team and a team that played hard.
This week, they seem to focus on Mario Gilbert more and kind of open a way up for Gerald Watson to step up as running back. How'd the backfield look this week?
Well, you know, Mario was nursing a little bit of an injury from last week, and we knew going in the ball game we were going to probably have to use him sparingly. But as the game went on, he ended up re-injuring, aggravating some of his injuries, and we started getting the ball to Mario, especially more in the second half. And I thought he did a good job of stepping up, especially when we needed him to, down there late when we were trying to make the big comeback.
Mm-hmm. You know, Lions actually on paper seemed to fare better than the Bears did. I think they had more overall yardage and more first downs. What was the difference actually on the field, though?
Well, I think, you know, looking at the statistics, and statistics don't always tell the whole picture, but we kind of woke up at halftime. And I don't mean that we were asleep in the first half, because, you know, our defense was playing really, you know, at times really good in the first half. We just put them in some spots that, you know, they couldn't overcome maybe. But the second half, I think, of our 390 yards, probably 100 or 225, 250 of it came in the second half. So we had some really nice drives in the second half. We probably controlled the clock a lot better, and our scoring all came in the second half. And, you know, that's unfortunate, because I think if we had put one in early in the first half, it may have been a total different ball game. You know, we can look back and diagnose and analyze all we want. What we got to do is we got to learn from this trip. We got to learn from this game, and it's got to make us better. And I think that it will.
Well, let's take a look at those first half highlights. They're going to be brought to you by the Caboose, with locations here in Hammond as well as Independence. Let's take a look.
Well, we start out here on offense, and Trey gets a little happy feet here. I wish he'd been a little more patient, because I think we had a receiver open, and he ends up scrambling out of bounds. Come back, and now we're going to try to go downfield, and somebody lets some pressure leak through there a little bit, and he ends up having to scramble and throw the ball away, and it gets tipped. And just a great interception by the defensive player there, and puts our defense in a bad situation, because I think they get the ball somewhere around the 30-yard line. Not a great way to start the game. We come out on defense and let them break that one off tackle, and I thought we did a real good job. In fact, our defense held them to 301 yards on the day. Derek Mincy just had a big day. I think that's him right there, big 56, and getting real excited. Plays the game hard, and I was real happy with him. I think he had 11 tackles. But you know, the big plays is what seemingly killed us at times. But we had a good game plan, and probably the biggest thing they did was, you know, 16 out of 22 passes, which kind of kept the sticks moving. They complete one over us right here, and we just got to do a better job getting underneath coverage there. Someone had him in the backfield there. We just got to wrap up. See the difference there between a 1-yard loss and a 3-yard gain. Down in the red zone is wrapping up there when you make the initial hit. Again, we got a lot of people at the point of attack trying to make tackles, but somebody's got to get off and be the one to make the play there.
2 tight ends this time. Sleeth is the man in motion. He'll line up as a wing. And out of the eye, it's Wilson. He is into the end zone for a touchdown.
And they end up going ahead 7-0 now. And we come back on offense, and we hit Robbie Skates on the shallow route. And they were defending that route pretty good all day, so we ended up not running it quite as many times. But Trey finds our back out in the flat here, Mario, or actually that's Gerald Watson, and we end up having to punt, and Jim Hall does a great job punting on his first one. I think it pins him down to the, I don't know, 3-yard line, 5-yard line, somewhere right down there. It was a great punt into the wind, by the way. And our defense comes out and just plays real good defense here on this series. And that's, I believe that's a lot of defensive players, Mayo and David Daniels, and I believe that was Stephen Smith, and we almost got that one right there. We were just a hand away probably, but we're going to get the ball in great field position again. You know, we're on the 37-yard line, and I really thought that was a catch. It was real close on the sideline, but they're not going to give you that one on the road. So we end up not making that one, and they get the ball back. Good defense right here. We got a lot of people getting at the point of attack. A lot of people flying around. Somebody bats it. I think Derek Mincy is going to come up with this one. Big Derek had to fight to take it away from one of his teammates there, number 40. But it's a great job by Derek, and a good job being batted down. And I know our sideline's real happy right now. I feel like we're in pretty good shape to come back. They've got a little drive going now. That big number 15 that transferred in from Nebraska, he ended up being a good player. I don't know why Nebraska let him get away. They looked like they could use him up there because he's a good football player. We started out the second quarter here, and they trying to run off our right side or our left side, and a host of defensive players making the tackles. This is a little pick play here. That's an illegal play. You're not really supposed to do that, but a lot of people do it. They set a little pick, but another player, kind of like in basketball, and the receiver rolls underneath and touchdown. Got a little drive going here. We're down on the 12-yard line. I think that's Gerald Watson running the ball. And just play ourselves back into the game, and then we have this happen. And what's unfortunate about that was we were on the 10 and could have probably scrambled down to about the 5-yard line. But those are things we've got to learn. And Trey, even though Trey's a senior, he's still a young quarterback. And those are things he's going to have to learn as the season goes by. Now, this is unfortunate here because we got people. Jim really, it's probably an example of Jim out punting the coverage, but somebody had a shot at him, and then we're going to let this guy return this thing. And this is just unfortunate because we should have had him down there inside the 10-yard line, and now they're going to start this drive down, I think, on about their 10 or 20-yard line. Even when we came off the field at halftime, I really felt like that I could get their attention in terms of let's go back out there and play hard, because it was technical things. It wasn't major things. It was little things here and there. And of course, good job by Northern Colorado.
Well, those are the first half highlights brought to you by the Caboose, with locations here in Hammond as well as Independence. Coach, Bears up 21-0 going in halftime. You said that earlier. What did you say to that team at halftime?
Well, the first thing I did when I got them down there by the locker room was I pulled them all together, and I tell them, there have been 5 different times in my career, in the 18 years of being a head coach, that we've gone into the locker room down 21 points at halftime. We've come back and won. And the way you do that is you don't look at the scoreboard. You can't score 21 the first drive. You can't score 21 probably in the third quarter. You got to commit yourself to playing 2 more quarters. You got to commit yourself to staying to the game plan. Don't get rattled. Just play one play, each play one play at a time. And so I encouraged them to do that. I challenged them to do that. And we came out, and I thought we tried to execute that. I mean, I thought with 6 minutes to go when we were down by 8, I chose to go ahead and kick the extra point at that point because, I want to push it down as long as possible. And I thought at that point, we kind of had them reeling a little bit. they weren't real sure what was happening, and our team was getting stronger and stronger by the minute. And so I really felt good about my team right there. And I thought they listened to me. I thought they came out and tried to do it. And unfortunately, like I said, we let them get great field position, and that kind of enabled them to do some more selective play calling.
Well, let's check and see how the Lions did in the second half. It's going to be brought to you by the Hammond Nursing Home, located at 501 Old Covington Highway, right here in Hammond.
Picking it back up in the second half, defense came out and stuffed them, and then they had a bad snap on their punt. He ends up getting it off for positive yardage, but we're going to start with the ball on the 35, and as I've said many times, when you actually on the 30, when you start on the 30, you need to make something happen. Well, a bad snap's not one of them, but Trey does a real good job of turning something negative into something positive, and that's what he's got to do as our quarterback and the leader of our offense. Now we're just going to dump it off a little. He's got 2 or 3 different reads on his play, and he wisely picks Gerald Watson, and Gerald does a nice job of getting that thing in the end zone and gave all our players a shot in the arm right here, and we really needed him to step up at this point with Mario hurting. And I've said all along, I think we've got 2 starting tailbacks, and I think both of them have different strengths, and I think a lot of people forget both these guys are still freshmen. They're really, he didn't play a whole lot last year. He's a sophomore, but he didn't play a whole lot last year. And, Mario played a little bit as well, but they're still young. Our defense is really getting after it right here. A lot of people getting to the point of attack. There's Rudy in there, and it's getting more, and Derek Mincy. Another block punt. I tell you, it went for positive yardage too, but we got a hand on it, and at least they don't get a chance to return it very much. Now this ends up being a 90-yard drive. I think it was, I don't know if it was 20 plays or how many it was, but here's a good job of jumping it to Josh, and Josh gets a big first down. And in these situations, when you pinned up back there inside your 10, you just got to get off the end zone. And here's Felton, and once Felton, he just takes it to another level when he gets that ball in his hands. And we certainly want to continue to get the ball in his hand as many times as possible. But again, moving the sticks. I love to see those sticks move. And good pass protection here. They had great coverage. Trey ends up getting rid of it, and I think that's Hutch Gonzalez, or maybe it might have been Josh. No, that's our Merrick Lano. He's really good at catching those things on the sideline. A freshman here from Hammond. Trey's in the shotgun here, and again hits Robbie Skates over the middle, and another big first down, and keep the drive alive. Here's Felton on our shallows, and again another first down. We hit a little running back screen, and we hit Gerald Watson, and he just does a really nice job of taking that thing down.
As he went through bare traffic in the secondary along the far sideline, good for 22 yards. Natural.
This is a sweet play. I want you to look at the block by Calvin Greenwood, Terrell Howard, number 7'3", our left tackle. He drove the offensive tackle 10 yards off, defensive end 10 yards off the ball, and a great job by our running back, Watson, just getting to the end zone. Now this is where we screw up. We got a shot at a tackle right there, and a man lets him go, and he gets about 30 more yards. And we got to do better than that. You're going to be on that team. You got to make those tackles. That play right there that may have been a breaking point of the game, because with 9 minutes to go, we're going to win. And now they're getting the ball on the 35-yard line, and their play selection can be a lot more adventurous. And as an example here, a throw into a guy they rarely seldom throw to. Our defensive players continue to fight, continue to try to get us the football. And I really thought this was a pig right here. I thought we had this, and David did too, obviously, but they didn't give it to us. And they ended up coming on down and getting a touchdown, and still got 6 minutes on the clock. And again, I don't think anybody on our sideline is ready to give up. In fact, we're all going to drive it down the field again and score another about an 80-yard drive here. Gerald's going to get us some yardage and get out of bounds. Then we're going to hit a pass to, I believe it's Josh again, and he's going to fight for some extra yards, get the first down, sticks moving. Coming on down the field, we're going to throw it to Josh again, and they're giving us the underneath stuff, obviously, but there's still time. The big thing here is to move the clock, move the chains, and work our way down the field. Here's Felton. Felton's going to do a good job. He gets out of bounds, stopping the clock. And Trey pulls it down, and does a nice job. I really thought he was going to get in the end zone there, but they bowed up and held him at the 2-yard line, 1-yard line. And we're going to try a quarterback sneak, and he told me the ball was in the end zone. It's hard to say, but he didn't get in, so we come back and run the belly with Gerald, and he's obviously in.
Watson, and he's in. Watson has his third touchdown of the game, 28-19.
Oh my goodness, we had our 2-point conversion, and he ended up feeling a little pressure, and he rolled out. But I decided to go ahead for it there because we had the momentum. We really had him on. We were reeling, had him on the momentum, and we just let him get away with it. Now we tried the onside, and ball takes a perfect bounce right into their guys' hands instead of us getting it. They got it, and they got it down on that 22-yard line.
Well, that was the second half highlight brought to you by the Hammond Nursing Home located at 501 Old Covington Highway, located right here in Hammond. Coach, that was the Lions' first road game. You know, what did they take out of it? What can they learn from this experience?
Well, I think, first of all, we did travel with a business-like attitude. I thought going up there, I thought at the hotel, our business meetings and our preparation we couldn't have asked for any better travel preparation. There are fans who went, people who watched the game, I thought we came out a little sluggish. I don't think it was anything to do with preparation. Our guys were prepared. They were ready to play. I think obviously Northern Colorado was ready to play as well. And we stubbed ourselves in the toe a couple of times earlier in the game, and we got a little bit out of sync, and we were fighting uphill. But once we got our feet back on solid ground there at halftime, made our adjustments, challenged our guys to come back out second half, I thought, there for about the next 24 minutes, it was our ball game to take. And so I think we learned from that. I think we got to go back and, we got to look at some of the mistakes we made. There were some offensive mistakes. There were some special team mistakes, and there were some defensive mistakes. But there were a lot of bright spots that we can focus on, and we lost to a really good football team. It's early in the season, and let's circle the wagons. Let's work harder, and let's learn from it, and that's what you do early in the season.
Well, now at this point in the show, we're going to look at this week's big play of the week. It's actually going to be 3 plays. Lions special team coming up big, blocking 3 punts. It's going to be brought to you by State Representative Henry Tank Powell. Let's take a look.
This is a part of the game that can be really, it can add a shot in the arm for the whole team, can turn games around. They can make your opponent's lifetime just really miserable, because when you play a team who knows how to block punts, you've got to spend a lot of time on that phase of the game, because it can just turn a game around in a minute. And I'm just really proud of our defense. I'm really proud of defensive coaches. And we're going to continue to work hard in all areas. All of our areas will take this kind. This is the way that we want all of Southeastern football to be.
Well, that was this week's big plays of the week, brought to you by State Representative Henry Tank Powell. Coach, 3 in a game. I think it was one shy of a 1 AA record, and actually it's 5 in 2 weeks. How'd the special team look? Have you ever seen that in your years of coaching?
No, we've always tried to take pride in special teams, but I think this particular unit of our defense, our punt block, punt return team, has really stepped to the front of the team, and I think that they can be a shining light to the rest of our team in terms of, if you really focus, if you work hard in practice, if you execute on the field, these are good things that can happen. And my hat's off to Coach Lucas and Coach Hatmaker, Coach Garvin, Coach Barnes, and Coach Webb. Those guys are doing a great job working with those players, and those players are doing a tremendous job. And that's going to continue to be something that our opponents are going to be fearful of, because when teams can block 1 here and 1 there, but to have blocked 5 in the first 2 games, there are going to be some people spending a lot of time working on their punt team when they prepare us.
Excellent job for the special teams. Now it's time to look at this week's player profile segment, brought to you by Subway Sandwiches, located here in the Student Union Mall. This week we're going to look at senior wide receiver Josh Taylor. 11 catches, 95 yards. Let's take a look.
I'm here with Josh Taylor, senior wide receiver. Josh, welcome to the show. Josh, congratulations on a good game with 11 catches for 95 yards.
We lost yesterday, so I really don't know what there's to be congratulated about or whatever, besides the fact that we did kind of stick it out after a 21-0 deficit. Going into halftime, 21-0, we had every opportunity and excuse to just fold up and go home and let it be a complete blowout. But we decided to come back. We bounced back, and we actually made it a game. So in that sense, I guess we had a character-building game, if nothing else.
Josh, What was the team morale like when y'all was down 21-0 going into the halftime?
It would have been real easy to turn on each other and start pointing the finger and yelling at each other, but our team didn't do that. We went in the locker room, we got together, we figured out what was working, what we could do to move the ball. We went in, we talked about it, discussed it, and everybody kind of bounced back and patted each other on the back, and it was like, let's get it up, let's get this going, rather than pointing the finger on each other. It brought us closer together, and I feel it'll pay off in the future.
Josh, being a senior wide receiver, what do you tell the younger players being in that situation?
It's not over. They got 4 quarters for a reason. If it was a 2-quarter game, then we could pack up and go home, but it's not. It's a 4-quarter game. Then they play 4 quarters for a reason.
You had 11 catches, but more importantly, it extended your streak for most consecutive games with the catch. How do you feel about that? Or did you even know about the streak going into the game?
Really and truthfully, I didn't even know about that. It was completely overshadowed by how I was feeling about the game. The catches and stuff, I could really care less about the catches as long as we're winning. And I'd trade no catches for a win for 11 catches and a loss any day.
Did the altitude affect your game in any way?
At times, yeah, I do think that, but I hate to use that as an excuse because we did have opportunities to win the game. We did have opportunities to make plays, and we were just off. We were out of sync, and it didn't happen. So to say it was the altitude's fault, I don't think so. It was actually your mouth got drier as opposed to being just where you couldn't breathe. The breathing was the easy part. It was you couldn't even get your mouthpiece in your mouth. It was so dry up there. So I think that was the worst part.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about your defense's performance, especially in the second half?
The defense played well. I mean, it's football. People are gonna score. That's the whole point of the game, And they did give us opportunities where we were taking off. We were getting the ball on the 40-yard line, 30-yard line going in. So, and we just didn't convert on it. We didn't cash in on it. So, like I said, we were just out of sync. We weren't rolling like we normally are.
What was Northern Colorado's defensive game plan against y'all?
We had actually planned on them blitzing a lot. We had planned on them coming in on us a lot and trying to get to Trey before he could get the ball off. But when it got game time, it wasn't quite the same scenario. They were dropping a lot of people. So our game plan, we had to change it up a lot from what we had planned on doing to what we actually did. So they actually planned very well for it. They did a great job planning for us. So it obviously paid off.
Did they double team you or anyone else on the team?
Well, we ran a lot of 5 wides down the field, and I would stay in and block and just delay off and pop out in the flats by myself. It was just kind of a delayed route, real late, and everybody else flying downfield, 9-0, kind of pulls everybody back. So that left me just sitting there. So that was where most of my catches came from.
Josh, you played Tulane in 2 weeks. Now, you being a native of Baton Rouge, how does it feel going back to your hometown and playing Tulane in Tiger Stadium?
Well, I found from experience that even after a bad practice, you usually come out and have a great practice. After a bad loss, a hurtful loss, you usually bounce. You can either do 2 things. You can have a really bad game or a really good game. And I would like to think that our team is bouncing back from the attitude after the game, and they're already looking forward to playing another game and getting a win under our belt. Regardless of who it is, Tulane, whoever, we're just looking forward to getting another W.
Well, I want to know a little bit about Josh the student. Josh, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and about your grades and what you plan to accomplish?
Well, I just graduated this summer actually with a degree in general business and a minor in management, and right now I'm currently working on my MBA. And after that, I just plan on job searching, hunting out there, and seeing what I can get.
All right, Josh, thank you for being the Student Athlete Profile of the Week. Good luck against Tulane. Hope y'all get a win.
Well, that was our very own Shoney Francis who sat down with senior wide receiver Josh Taylor. That Student Athlete Profile segment was brought to you by the Subway Sandwiches located here in the Student Union Mall. Subway, eat fresh. Coach, with Josh, said it's 25 straight games he's had a catch. How does he fit in the role as leader on the team, and what does he bring to the team?
Josh is an example of a guy who's going to show up for practice or work game time every time with his A game. He's going to be prepared. He's going to work hard. He's going to hustle. He's going to be a positive example for his teammates. And we're just really thankful to have him, really proud of him. You know what's ironic is I tried to recruit Josh DeBella even when I was head coach there, and he ended up coming over here, and I'm kind of glad he did now. So we're just happy that he's having a great senior year, and I think he's going to continue to have a great senior year for us.
Well, we're going to take a look. Coach, we're going to talk to you a little more. We're going to have you tell us a little more about Tulane. And this week's scouting report is going to be brought to you by the LHC Group with offices throughout the South. What is their offense, their defense? I think they played Mississippi State this past week. Actually lost barely 21-14. I think it was a final for Tulane. What is their offense and their defense like? Like you said, it's a Division I school, and I know it's going to be exciting, but what does their offense and defense and the team look like compared to us as the Lions?
Well, I mean, they're going to be a big physical team. They run I formation. They got a big tailback. I don't know exactly what his weight is right now, but I know he looked big on TV last night when I was looking at the highlights. Carlton Richard, the quarterback, I think he's from Denham Springs, and you know, he's a real athletic quarterback. They graduated a number of great receivers last year. I think they're still looking for some receivers to step up and fill those roles, but it appears that they put the ball on the ground a little bit more in terms of running it more against Mississippi State, and were somewhat successful moving the ball against an SEC football team. Over on defense, they got a lot of starters returning. They're athletic. They're big. They play a four-man front and move around quite a bit in that. You know, it's just going to be one of those things. We will have a chance to get some more scouting report on them this week, and they do play SMU this coming week before we play them, and so we will have a chance really to find out a little bit more about them. But it's going to again be a challenge for our players that they should be because they're in Conference USA. They should be one of the best teams on our schedule this year, and so we just better buckle up and get these technical areas corrected and grow up a little bit as a football team. And I think the best is yet to come, and I think we're going to be a good team. In fact, I'm very excited about where our team can go. And it's still early in the season, and so we're still dusting off some of the hurricane dust that came in on us, but I think as time goes by, we're going to get that shaken out and like I said, get these things straightened out and be a good team.
Well, thank you for that scouting report, Coach. It's brought to you by the LHC Group with offices located here throughout the South. Okay, we got 2 weeks away. It's going to be the next game will be against Tulane University over in Baton Rouge there at Tiger Stadium. After that, next home game is going to be against Texas State October 8th here at Strawberry Stadium. Coach, I know it's going to be good to be back here at home for Conference Open. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to it. Where we're at right now. I certainly like to be 2-0, but I think we're going to treat the game in Baton Rouge like a home game. That's what we're going to play that up and tell our players, you know, it's just playing in our backyard, and it's as much a home game for us as it is for them. And then we'll get a chance to come back home for a while, and that's going to be a good thing to see all our fans again. Well,
that'll do it for this episode of the Dennis Roland Show. I'm Mark Verbois alongside Coach Dennis Roland. See you next week.